Hey, what's going on guys, Xrathis here and welcome back to another video. Now I'm not going to lie, I have a lot to cover in today's video, so we're just going to jump straight into it and I really hope you enjoy it. Now obviously this is an up-to-date 9.0.5 Affliction Warlock PvP guide, and I have, I'm going to be releasing a Demonology Warlock PvP guide and a Destruction Warlock PvP guide, hopefully very soon for you guys. But yeah, before we jump into the talents, I just want to give a brief overview about myself. So my name's Xrathis, obviously. I've been playing World of Warcraft since Burning Crusade, and I've mained a Warlock ever since Burning Crusade as well. And yeah, just in general, I have a lot of experience when it comes to Warlock. I think my highest rating was nearly 2200 in like 2s or something, and nearly the same in 3s. I don't really push rating too much, as you can tell, because it's not like I've been Gladiator before or anything like that, but just in general, right, I'm more of a PvP and PvE player. I enjoy doing a variety of content, and if I want to push arena rating, then obviously I'll do that, or if I want to push RBG rating, then I'll try do that as well. So the rating I'm currently sat on, yeah, exactly, isn't high at all, but don't let that deter you, right? I do have experience when it comes to Warlock, and I know what I'm talking about, so trust me when it comes to that, and hopefully I'm going to be pushing rating and PvP very, very soon. But we're going to jump straight into it. Talking to you guys about my talents, we have a long list of stuff to talk about today, so we're just going to speed run through it, and then, just hopefully you guys enjoy it. So starting off at level 15 talents, we have the choice of Nightfall, Inevitable Demise, and Drained Soul. I always pick Inevitable Demise here. I think it's the best choice out of the three. Drained Soul I mainly use for PvE at the moment. It's good to get your Shadow Embrace stacks off so you deal more shadow damage, but just in general I prefer Inevitable Demise. So basically, if you damage an enemy with your Agony, it increases your Drain Life damage, stacking up to 50 times, which is insane. So it increases your Drain Life damage by 15%, but it stacks up to 50 times. So it's really nice. It's really great for burst, and just in general it pairs really well with Night Fae. If you play Night Fae and you have their ability, it's just so insane. But obviously I'll talk about Covenants later, but it's very good. Soul Rot, very nice with this, but I'm Necrolord, but I'll talk about all that later. We have the level 25 talents. Obviously, level 15 though, I never play Nightfall. 25 talents, you have Wrath and Agony, Absolute Corruption, and Siphon Life. Now, I always play Absolute Corruption right now, because not only does it increase your corruption damage by 15%, but it also pairs really nicely with this legendary. Sacrilash's Dark Strike. It says Sacrilash's Dark Slippers, but the legendary itself is called Sacrilash's Dark Strike. It's just because I crafted the boots here for that legendary. But basically, this legendary, it allows your corruption to do 15% more damage, and it also makes the enemy slowed by 50%. This is going to be reworked in 9.1, but obviously this is a 9.0.5 PvP guide for Affliction Warlock, so once the time comes, I'll probably do a guide for 9.1 as well, so obviously stay tuned for that. But I always pick Absolute Corruption just because it makes your corruption do so much more damage, and the legendary pairs so well with it, so it's really nice. Wrath and Agony I used to use quite a bit. Allows your Agony to do a little bit more damage, instead of being 15 stacks, it stacks up to 18 stacks now, which is obviously very good, and the damage starts at 4 stacks, so it's really nice. And obviously you have Siphon Life. If you want some healing, sure, you can go Siphon Life, but if you're playing the Sacrilash's Dark Strike legendary, always go with Absolute Corruption. It just makes sense. Level 30 talents, you have Demon Skin, Burning Rush, Dark Pact. So although all three of these are not the best choices in regards, they're all good for something different. That's what I was supposed to say. But Demon Skin is the main one you want to be using. It just allows your, so basically, if I read it for you, your Soul Leech Absorption now passively recharges at a rate of 0.5% of your maximum health every 1 second, and may now absorb up to 15% of your maximum health. So it's just really good. It allows you to be more tanky, gives you a big absorption shield, and in general, it just allows you to survive a little bit longer in PvP. The reason why I said all three of these are not good, but technically they're good in their own way, is because Burning Rush is kind of like a PvE go-to because of the movement speed, and then Dark Pact, I was thinking, I don't think there's any scenario where you want this. Sure, you might consider using this if you want to be really tanky against like a melee cleaves, but I still don't see it being very decent. I still think Demon Skin's just better out of all of the three here. So I think Demon Skin is the best one to choose. Level 35 talents, you have Solar Seeds, Phantom Singularity, and Vile Taint. I always pick Phantom Singularity here, just because of the healing. Obviously, if I read it for you, places a Phantom Singularity above the target, which consumes the life of all enemies within 15 yards, dealing 4.5k damage over 12.7 seconds, and it heals you for 25% of the damage done. So the more dots you have around, well, up at a certain time, the more healing you're going to get back, which is obviously a very, very nice, and obviously the more damage you're going to deal with this. So it's very, very good. Vile Taint, you could argue you may want to consider using this into like melee compositions, or just in general, maybe it could work in RPGs if you play RPGs. Only downside of this is it costs a soul shard, and it's on a 1.2 second cast. And right now you have a lot to cast anyway. As Affliction, it's not too bad, but just in general, you know, you're spamming Malfric Rapture, you have to get your fears off. Just, you know, try and set up CC and bursting at the same time while trying to use Vile Taint. It's just a little bit of setup at the moment, but the main reason why I use Phantom Singularity is for the healing, and you may want to consider trying out Vile Taint if you're against melee, just for the slow, because it slows the enemy by 30%, and it actually does quite a bit of damage, so it's not terrible. It could definitely be used in some situations, so I'm not ruling it out, but I prefer Phantom Singularity here, and I don't play Sow the Seeds at all. Level 40 talents, we have Dark Fury, Mortal Coil, and Howl of Terror. In my opinion, you want to be going either Mortal Coil or Howl of Terror here. Dark Fury isn't very good, if I'm completely honest. I'd never play it, but the way I see this, right, if you're Night Fae, Howl of Terror is very, very strong because you've got Soul Shape. You can literally teleport to the enemy. Same with your Void Elf. You can use your teleport from your racial. You teleport to the enemy, you can get Howl of Terror off immediately. Then you can like either use your Gateway back, or you can use your Demonic Circle back. So it's really nice. The reason why I use this and I'm not Night Fae is because I like just being able to mass fear people. Really nice trying to get CC in like RBGs. I can see it being very, very good into melee compositions, or just in general in arena. Allows you to get instant CC off, instant CC off on multiple targets, which is good. That's what I was supposed to say, and it works out very, very nice. Now, if you don't want Howl of Terror, Mortal Coil is the next best option. I say next best option. They're both very strong because Mortal Coil, not only does it CC a target, it also incapacitates them for 3 seconds, and it heals you for 20% of your maximum health. So if you want more healing, go Mortal Coil. If you want instant CC on multiple targets, go Howl of Terror. But, you know, say if you have a warrior on your team and he does Mass Fear, then maybe you might consider not using Howl of Terror because they DR. So there's some things you want to be obviously thinking about, but those two are the best to choose in the level 40 bracket in regards to talents. Level 45 talents, we have Dark Cooler, Haunt, and Grimmer of Sacrifice. Now, all depends here. Dark Cooler, I never play it. Haunt or Grimmer of Sacrifice is completely up to you. But I think Grimmer of Sacrifice is just a little bit better right now. So basically, the way I think of this is Haunt allows you to deal really nice single target damage because it puts a 10% damage increase onto the enemy, which is awesome. And obviously it works really, really nicely with your Shadow Embrace, because if I show you here, Shadow Embrace, Shadow Bolt, and Haunt apply Shadow Embrace, increases your damage dealt to the target by 3% for 12 seconds, stacks up to 3 times. So you're just going to get value out of your Shadow Embrace if you use Haunt, but you don't really need to maintain your Shadow Embrace anyway. But Haunt just provides you with more single target burst, so that's quite nice. And you also get your pet, so you can devour magic, a beneficial magic effect from the enemy target. So it basically acts like a purge, So it's really, really nice. If you want to purge the enemy's beneficial buffs, then Haunt's going to allow you not to obviously purge the buff, but your pet, if you play your Foul Hunter here, if you play your Foul Hunter, he's going to be able to purge an enemy buff, which is very, very strong. But the reason why I like playing Grimoire Sacrifice, because you have no pet, so the enemy can't kill your pet, which is obviously a downside if you have Haunts, because the enemy can kill it. Then you can use your Foul Domination to obviously revive your pet, and if they kill it again, yeah, you're just going to have to try and hard cast summon your pet, and you're going to get interrupted a lot. So I like Grimoire Sacrifice. It allows your spells to do extra shadow damage, which is very, very nice. You don't have a pet, so you don't have to worry about your pet being killed. And just in general, it's really nice, especially if you want to AoE people down with your rot damage, just because obviously it allows you to kind of cleave people down more, if that makes sense, because instead of being more heavy on single target damage, you have AoE pressure out, and in my opinion that's a little bit more beneficial. But you can play either here, but I think Grimoire Sacrifice is just better right now. Level 50 tanks, you have Soul Conduit, Creeping Death, and Dark Soul Misery. Now I tried out Creeping Death the other week, and in my opinion I still think Dark Soul Misery is just the one to go here. I never play Soul Conduit. Creeping Death is okay, but in my opinion, I just like Dark Soul Misery. It just allows you to set up your burst windows when you want to, right? It increases your haste by 30%, which is a bonus because haste is like your best stat to go right now. I'll talk about that later. But in my opinion, I think you just want to be going Dark Soul Misery just for that extra burst. 2-minute cooldown. Only downside though is your Dark Soul can be purged. So if you're against a team, you know, like a Shadow Priest or a Shaman or something like that, they can just purge this buff off. So you got to be wary when using your burst. So some scenarios you may want to try Creeping Death just so your dots can deal their damage faster, which is pretty good. But also I do like Dark Soul, but it just depends when you use it. If you're in arena and you know they have purge and everything, it's going to be hard to get your burst off. So you want to be like CCing the guy with purge or something, or just CCing so you can get this off a little bit easier. Or you can put your dots on, you know, Dark Soul, Dark Glare, and then Kite. It's completely up to you how you want to use it, but just be wary, and obviously just to note that it can be purged. So obviously that's a downside, but Creeping Death's okay too. So maybe you might want to be switching between the two, but I play Dark Soul right now and it works out like a charm basically. So moving on to PvP talents. These are my 3 go-to PvP talents right now, and I'll explain why. There's also a 4th that I like playing, and kind of a 5th, but I'll talk about why I like these first. So Rampant Afflictions. This is actually a really, really nice PvP talent. So as you guys know, in BFA you could spam 5 Unstable Afflictions on one target. That's how you got your burst off. In Shadowlands, they reworked that, they changed it. So we have an ability called Malefic Rapture. Just allows you to spend your soul shards and deal consistent damage, like burst damage on, you know, just AoE people down, which is quite nice. So really good. Rampant Afflictions, instead of you being able to do 5 Unstable Afflictions on one target, they've put a PvP talent in where you can do 3 Unstable Afflictions, but spread out across multiple targets. So if you don't play this, you can only put 1 stable affliction on one target at a time, right? And if you say you have 2 targets and you want to unstable affliction both, you can't, which sucks. But if you play Rampant Afflictions, you can, but you can do it on up to 3 targets. So it's really nice. It just allows you to set up your burst a little bit more, allows you to get more consistent damage out, and it's really nice at rotting people down efficiently. So that's why I like playing it. You also have Rapid Contagion. This is also a really nice PvP talent that they added. So basically, it costs 3 soul shards. That's the only downside in my opinion. It's on a 30-second cooldown. For the next 15 seconds, all of your periodic effects occur 30% more often. So it works really nice. I can see it actually working with Creeping Death, because the way Creeping Death works, it basically speeds up your dots, making them deal their damage faster, right? If you stack haste with that and you play Rapid Contagion, you're going to get so many dot ticks off, which is actually good. So it works nicely, but it also pairs well with Dark Soul as well if you can maintain your Dark Soul, because your haste is increased by 30%. So either way, it works very, very nicely, and I use this the majority of the time. The only time I probably wouldn't use this or wouldn't use Rampant Afflictions is probably, or Demon Armor for that matter, is probably when I play Nether Ward, but I'll talk about that later. Have Demon Armor, protects the caster, increasing maximum health by 5% and increases armor by 220%. Allows you to be a bit more tanky, especially when going up against melee. You know, right now the meta is so fast, you get bursted down so quickly, and it just allows you to be a little bit more tanky. So that's why I like using, obviously, Demon Armor. You can swap it out, you know, if you go against like casters or something, maybe you swap out Demon Armor for Nether Ward. Nether Ward, the way this works, surrounds the caster with a shield. The last 3 seconds reflects all harmful spells cast on you. Also note, this can in fact be purged while spell stealing as well. So if you're against a mage, they can just spell steal that. They can yoink it off you basically and go, ha ha ha, the reflect is now mine. So Nether Ward's really good at reflecting spells back to the original caster. Say an enemy's trying to polymorph you, boom, reflect it back. You know, it works out like a charm. I really do like using it, but it's just hard to use sometimes. Well, not hard to use, it's just situational, right? Mage can spell steal it, but you want to be using it at the precise moment as soon as the spell's going to go off, so you can affect it back at the caster. Say if against a Destrolock, they're doing a big juicy Curse Bolt, they set up all of their bursts, you can just, you know, reflect that back. So it's really, really nice. I do enjoy playing that, but right now, Rampant Afflictions, Rapid Contagion, and Demon Armor are my, obviously, main 3, but I do switch them out occasionally. And then, also just to note, Deathbolt. I've seen a lot of people play Deathbolt. It costs 3 soul shards now, which, yeah, isn't very good, especially if you want to play Rapid Contagion. So it's kind of a, you know, either or, which you want to be playing. But Deathbolt, 0.8 second cast time. It's on a cast time, which sucks. But basically, you launch a bolt of death at your target, dealing 40% of total remaining damage on your target over time effects. Counts up to 14 seconds of your corruption damage. So, I've seen people one-shot people with this, literally. They pop all their bursts, you know, they have like a priest on their team or something with PI, Power Infusion, giving them like more haste and everything, and they just get the biggest death bolt off ever. I personally don't like it because it's so unreliable, in my opinion. It's so inconsistent. Sometimes your death bolt will hit for a lot, sometimes it hit like a wet noodle, so that's why I don't really play it too much anymore. So yeah, I would say, if you know how this spell works in terms of, even then actually, it's just a risky option to use. If you want the chance to nearly blow someone up, you can use Death Bolt, but it's so inconsistent, I probably wouldn't even risk it. I think Rapid Contagions are better, just better over Death Bolt. Gateway Mastery you can use, you know, if you want your gateway to be longer, so you can, you know, try and kite a little bit better. Rotten DK, I used to play this quite a lot in BFA, but I don't really play it anymore just because there's better options out there now. So basically, Rotten DK, if I read it for you guys, each time your drain life deals damage, increases duration of your Unstable Affliction, Corruption, and Agony on the target by 0.8 seconds. So, not that great anymore, especially when you play Inevitable Demise because you're not using your drain life that much. Well, actually, no, you do use your drain life quite a bit. I'll obviously show you my rotation later, but I don't play that anymore. Tried Bane of Shadows and it's okay, but I wouldn't use it. The next best option is Amplify Curse. So basically the way it works, obviously you have your curses back now in Shadowlands. Your next Curse of Exhaustion, Curse of Tongues, or Curse of Weakness is amplified. So it just basically makes your curses stronger. Situations where you could play this and it actually works out very nice. Curse of Exhaustion reduces the target's movement speed by additional 20%. Right now, Curse of Exhaustion reduces the target's movement speed by 50% for 12 seconds. So that would be an additional 20%. So that would actually be 70% reduced movement speed. But obviously you're playing with the Sacrilegious Dark Strike legendary, so they're already slowed anyway. That's if you play with that legendary, so that's just one of the amplifications. So you also have Curse of Tongues, increases casting time by an additional 30%. So you have force the target speak in demonic Speak in Demonic, increasing the casting time of all spells by 30% for 1 minute, plus an additional 30%, so that's 60%, and then you also have Curse of Weakness, enemy is unable to critically strike. So it's good if you go against like 2 melee in arena, for example, use Amplified Curse, and the enemy is unable to critically strike. So that's pretty decent. So just to sum it up, the main ones I like playing is Rampant Afflictions, Rapid Contagion, Demon Armor, Nether Ward, and then Amplified Curse, if I'm completely honest. That's my top 5. Alright guys, now I'm going to move on to stat priority, gems and enchants. I'll basically run through this real quick. So stat priority wise, I personally am like going haste, versatility, mastery, crit. That's basically my go-to right now. Crit, I really don't like. I just think that's the stat you want to be going less of. The reason why I like haste so much, so if I scroll over haste, it increases your attack speed, which is good. And it also, so increases your attack speed and spell casting speed, which is nice. But it also allows your dots to tick faster. So, say if you have loads of dots out, you use your Dark Soul Misery, your haste increases 63% here, Haste increases, your dots are going to tick for faster, allowing you to get actually short burst windows in, which is really, really nice. And just in general, you're going to be putting pressure on the enemy a little bit more. Versatility is a must in PvP right now, if I'm completely honest. So it increases your damage and healing done by X amount, depending on how much you have. And it also decreases your damage taken by half. So say if I, right now I have 15.22% versatility, and then so my damage and healing done is increased by 15.22%, but my damage taken is reduced by 7.61%. So it's really nice. It allows you to be a little bit more tankier, and it also allows you to do more damage and more healing. So very, very nice. Mastery, I used to stack quite a lot in BFA, but in my opinion, Mastery is very, very strong, don't get me wrong. But I think you just need versatility right now. The meta's so fast, you just get blown up instantly, so you need to be a little bit more tanky. I'm also Necrolord, which provides that, but I'll cover Covenants later. But Mastery is good, increases damage done by your Malfic Rapture, which you use quite a lot. Your Agony, Corruption, Phantom Singularity, Unstable Affliction, and your Seeded Corruption by however much percent you have. So it allows you to get more damage out of your dots and your Unstable Affliction and your Malfic Rapture, etc. But right now, I just prefer being able to have my casting speed up by a lot from my haste and my dots to tick faster, and also being able to take less damage and deal more damage and healing. So that's why I like going haste verse, and then if you have pieces of like haste mastery on it, you can go haste mastery, but the main stats you want to focus on is haste verse as much as possible. Say if you get around, I don't know, 30% versatility, then that's when you can like start going haste mastery in some of your pieces, or enchanting your gear like haste and stuff like that. But right now, I know I kind of just said you want to be enchanting your gear with haste when you hit around 30% versatility. But what I mean by that, so right now I have my rings enchanted haste, also my gems are haste. So I've basically gone full haste in terms of my gems and sockets. No, sorry, I don't know why I just said gems and sockets. I meant my enchants and my rings and my gems. Some people like stacking verse. I completely understand why, but I'm more of a haste person. I just like my dots being able to deal like a lot more damage within a shorter window and stuff like that, and just in general, allowing them to tick for more. That's what I mean. On my weapon, I have Celestial Guidance. In my opinion, that's probably the one you want to be going. I have enchanting here, so I'll sum it up for you. Basically, if you don't know what that enchant does, here it is. Permanently enchants a weapon to sometimes increase your primary stat by 5% when attacking or using spells and abilities. So it's just nice to have your primary stat increased by 5%. Really, really nice in my opinion. Obviously, so that'd be my intellect. My intellect's going to go up by a little bit, so it allows me to deal a little bit more damage. So that's why I use that on my weapon. Chest, I got primary stats increased by 30. So again, allowing me to deal more damage, get more intellect. On the cloak, I have 30 stamina, just to be a little bit more tanky, but I know you can get 20 stamina and I think it's 20 stamina and 20 movement speed. I might actually have it here if I can find it. Where is it? Cloak. You have stamina by 30, stamina by 20, and avoidance by 30. We have leech, stamina by 20, and your leech by 30, and then you have speed. So increase your stamina by 20, your speed by 30. This actually worked quite nice if you're Night Fae with your soul shape and everything. Just allows you to get more speed. So really, really nice. You can go with this actually. Probably a solid choice. But I just went for 30 stamina for now. Just because it's what I had at the time as well. And just because it still allows me to be more tanky. So it's quite nice. And I'm not Night Fae, so I can't really hop around really fast. I have my gateway. You know, I have my demonic circle. But that's about it really. Okay, so I just want to talk about races really, really quick. So I've covered so far talents, PvP talents, stat priority, gems and enchants, and also I want to be talking about races now. So I play Alliance, I'm a gnome. The reason why I'm a gnome, I just play what I enjoy, right? I've always liked the aesthetic of gnomes and stuff. It was my first ever race I made, obviously, when I played back in, like when I started in BC. I was a gnome warlock, this exact character to be, well, you know, just to, as a matter of fact. And just in general, I really like gnomes, but on the Alliance side, humans are very, very strong. You know, you have the every man for himself racial, allows you to get out stuns, which is nice. So I do, well, that would be another pick you might want to consider going. Gnomes, the reason why I like gnomes, not just the aesthetics, is because they have their racial called Escape Artist. So if you don't know what this does, it just basically allows you to get out of roots or any immobilization or movement impairing effect on you. If a mage ice novas you, you can get out of that, and it's just very, very nice. So when I talk about races, I'm just going to be breaking it down basically based off the racial, not any other, you know, effects that they may have. So yep, I really do enjoy playing gnome, especially Escape Artist is very, very nice too. And you also have dwarf. I do like dwarf. It allows you, their racial allows you to be a little bit more tanky. I'll obviously put their racial on screen and everything. Just allows you to be a little bit more tanky. And obviously, since I've mentioned multiple times, the meta is really, really fast at the moment. So you could consider going dwarf. I've seen quite a few dwarf warlocks. So the top three, in my opinion, are human because their racial is really, really nice. Gnome and dwarf, in no particular order though. And then an honourable mention would be Void Elf, because their racial basically acts like a teleport, right? If you don't play Night Fae, then their teleport is actually really good, and it works really well with Howl of Terror. Because right now, right, the only way I can get to someone is by gatewaying across or running to them. That's literally the only way. Or if I get like life gripped or something, right? A leap of faith. That's like the only way I can actually get there in time. Or if I mount up, but I'll be in combat most of the time, right? So having that Void Elf racial will just allow you to teleport towards the enemy, Howl of Terror, and then all you need to do is TP back or gateway. It's really, really good. But right now, I'll talk about Covenants. It's just Night Fae is so strong right now, and I'll talk about it in a second. But just in general, man, those are the top four for well, top three. In my opinion, human, gnome, and dwarf. But an honourable mention would be Void Elf as well. But on the Horde side, we have Orc. So Orcs, in my opinion, you know, their Blood Fury racial is really, really strong. Allows you to get more burst out, which is really, really good. They also take less CC. So that's also strong as well. You have Trolls. Trolls are very nice because... What the hell, dude? Stop interrupting me while I'm recording a video. You hear that? Damn, man. Horde assassins or whatever on the map. Yep. There he is. But just in general, trolls are good because their berserking racial gives you a load of haste. I really like haste, so it's really nice. Allows, like I mentioned earlier, in regards to haste, allows you to get more dot ticks off. Just allows you to burst a lot better really with your Dark Soul as well. So it's really, really nice. And then you have Undead, which Undead are good because they can get out of like charms and stuff like that, as I recall, right? With their racial, with the Forsaken. But just in general, I think those are the top three I would go. You could argue Goblins are okay because of their rocket jump. It just allows you to get away from people a little bit more easier. But Night Fae already provides that if you're playing Night Fae. Although I'm not playing Night Fae, as I mentioned multiple times in this video now. It's just, it all depends what you want to go, right? So that could be an honorable mention, just using their rocket boots to get away a little bit and, you know, set up a CC. You could rocket boots in and Howl of Terror. That could be quite cool, but there's loads of options I could be talking to you guys about. But on the Horde side, I'd say Orc, Troll, Undead, and quite possibly, maybe you could go Goblin, but there's probably better options out there. But if I just stick to the top 3 on both sides, we have Human, Gnome, Dwarf on Alliance, Orc, Troll, Undead on Horde. Alright guys, I'm going to actually go to the Covenant Sanctum now, and I'm going to cover more stuff in regards to Covenant stuff and everything like that. So I'm going to hearth out, and I will see you in my Covenant Sanctum. Alright guys, I'm in my Covenant Sanctum right now, and I just want to talk to you guys about Covenants. I will also mention Soulbinds, Conduits, and so much more as well after this. But if I just give you a brief overview on Covenants. So basically you have a choice of 4. You have Necrolord, Night Fae, Kyrian, and Venthyr. Hands down right now, Night Fae is just the way to go for Affliction Warlocks. Their ability called Soul Rot just does so much damage, and it pairs so well with Inevitable Demise, and it's just great for burst. But I'll talk about that when I talk about Soulbinds and everything like that. But the reason to why I chose Necrolord at like the start of the expansion, so I haven't switched on any of my characters as I record this video, right? The reason why I chose Necrolord is because 1, I really like their lore. I like the zone Maldraxxus. I kind of had a connection with the Necrolords in the sense that I kind of feel like Warlocks suit them, because their Covenant's all about, you know, like death and everything like that, and kind of fits like the lore of a Warlock in a sense. And also, you know, their appearances and everything were really cool too. But also they have like, they're really nice in terms of survivability, because they have Fleshcraft and Ultimate Form, which allows you to be very tanky. So obviously Ultimate Form is a Soulbinder trait. I'll talk about that later. And then you have that works obviously with Fleshcraft. And then we have Decimating Bolt, which can be used as kind of like a finisher ability. It's not too strong as Affliction in my opinion, but it can be used to kind of like finish someone off when they're low HP. But I'll mention that in a minute. And then obviously you have Kyrian and Venthyr, which, to be honest, I haven't really tried them out too much, but the main one you want to be going is Night Fae, and I'll talk about that now. So basically, I have opened on my screen the Soulbind calculator, just so I can give you guys like the rundown and the most accurate information when it comes to talking about Soulbinds. So we jump straight into Soulbinds now, and I'll talk to you guys about Night Fae first, and then the reasons to why I enjoy Necrolord. Gonna step back a little bit here because the guy's in our way a little bit, but shout out to that shaman. So right now, I've seen a lot of people, right? So there's multiple guides, people saying that you should be going Kyrian, which is a Soulbind for Night Fae. Their main trait that they offer to you is called Wild Hunt Tactics. Your damage to targets above 75% health and healing to targets below 35% health is increased by 10%. When your spells and abilities are enhanced, this way you gain 15% increased movement speed for 5 seconds. Obviously, as a Night Fae, you have the choice, well, you have 2 abilities, right? You have your Soul Shape, which basically acts as a teleport, allows you to get around the map quicker, allows you to get away from people quicker, and allows you to set up CC. And you also have your Soul Rot ability. So it works very nice. Soul Rot ability, if I sum up basically what this does, it allows you to drain life multiple targets at one time. That's basically like the rundown, like the generalized overview of that spell. It allows you to drain life multiple targets at once instead of just being able to channel one target. So it works nice because it works with Inevitable Demise, which is crazy. Say if you've got 50 stacks of your drain life, not only can you use Soul Rot, which is a dot, right? But also you can use Soul Rot to drain life multiple targets, therefore pressuring more than one enemy and just being able to AoE cleave people down. I like saying AoE cleave because it just makes you, just because, right, it basically allows you to put pressure on multiple targets and cleave them down. That's why I always say AoE cleave, but it's really, really nice. Definitely want to be going Night Fae, and with Korean as well, they have Face Your Foes trait. Basically, this is like the last trait you can like get on the so before that, obviously you have your different. So for example, if I break this down, it'd just be easier if I show you, right? You have your different conduits here, but as Kyrian, it's kind of like Bonesmith Hermia in a sense that you have 3 abilities at the bottom, right? And so there you have Face Your Foes on the far left. When in front of your target, your spells and abilities decrease the damage they inflict on you for 3% for 2 seconds. So literally, right, if you're in front of your target, they deal less damage to you, which is cool. And then you also have First Strike. Damaging an enemy before they damage you increases the chance to critical strike by 25% for 5 seconds. I don't really like that as much. Then we got Hold the Line. After standing still for 5 seconds, you take 15% less physical damage until you move. And it's kind of hard just to stand still for 5 seconds, so I don't really like that either as such, but Face Your Foes is just good. You stare at your enemy, right? If you're in front of them, they deal less damage to you. So it's really good. Just being able, right, to use that ability is insane. Now, the reason to why I kind of like Necrolord, right? Mentioned it previously, but in terms of Soulbinds, so I like Plague Divisor Marileth. He's my go-to when it comes to PvP. 100%, he offers this ability to you called Volatile Solvent. Fleshcraft's passive effect consumes a corpse's essence, completely granting a benefit based on the creature's type. In PvP, it's kind of hard to use this though because the enemy can't release that corpse. So if you're in a RPG or something and an enemy releases a corpse, you actually won't get the buff. So as long as they don't release their corpse, you can get a humanoid buff. If you kill like a humanoid, for example, and say like there'd be like a buff that increases your armor or increases your intellect or something like that, right? It's buffs per creatures you kill or like per like races you kill, for example. So say if you kill a humanoid, it's going to be a different buff than say if you killed a beast or if you killed, you know, something else. So it's actually pretty cool in that regard. You also have access to Ultimate Form, which I was speaking about earlier. So while you channel a Fleshcraft, you're immune to crowd control effects, and you regenerate 2% of your health every 1 second. That's why I was talking about tankiness. Then also, if you finish the full channel, so if you don't get like interrupted or anything, or like and that while you channel the whole Fleshcraft, you gain 3 seconds of crowd control immunity after, during which you regenerate 2% of your health every 1 second. It's just so nice for trying to, say if you're low HP, use this, get the full channel off, you gain so much HP back, and it's really, really insane. And it just allows you to set up CC as well. You can literally get interrupted, and then after, use your Fleshcraft, so you can like bait people out, which is kind of cool. And then also you have Ooze's Frictionless Coating. When reduced below 50% HP, Ooze courses over you, granting you a shield of 15% of your maximum health for 10 seconds. May only occur once per 30 seconds. I can't recall if this works with certain buffs, like, you know, you have the trinket that increases your maximum HP. If you use that before you get procced from your Ooze's Frictionless Coating, then they actually have a bigger absorption shield because your HP is higher. I actually think it might work like that, so it could be good. You know, you play Grimoire of Sacrifice, and say if you have, let's see here, you have your Voidwalker out. Use Grimoire of Sacrifice and you get Shadow Bulwark, increases your maximum health by 30% for 20 seconds. So 42k, increase it, 55k, and if I get procced, it might be a big absorption shield, but I might be completely wrong about that. So don't go thinking that the absorption shield might be bigger if you do that, but it might be, say if you use your like Battle Master Trinket or whatever it's called, you know, your emblem, and then if you use like your Bulwark as well, your HP, like you could just get a big absorption shield, but could be wrong about that. Anyway, the absorption shield is very nice too. And then if I move on to Kyrian here, so you have a choice of Pelagos, Clayer, and Forge Light Prime Marcos. I don't know how you say that name. To be honest, I don't know if I should go through these Soulbinds. No, just because, like, right now, in my opinion, you know what, we're not even going to go through those Soulbinds. Just because right now, in my personal opinion, I just think Night Phase, just the best. I just think that's the one you want to be going. So I shouldn't really talk about each covenant, because at the same time, you probably don't want to be going any of the other covenants other than Night Phase anyway, unless you want to be a little bit more tanky. Then you can go Necrolord, and obviously Necrolord's also good for Demonology, but I'll talk about that in the Demonology video. So yes, that's actually pretty decent, but I'm going to close that right now, and then I'm going to be talking about Conduits. So it's cool. I came here specifically to talk about Conduits as well. Sorry that I didn't cover all of the covenants. I just thought it'd probably save us like 10 minutes of time, because I don't want this guide to be like over an hour if I can, but it probably will be, let's be honest. But so basically right now, the main conduits I use, so for my potency conduit, I really like using Focus Malignancy. What this does, it allows your Malfric Rapture to deal 21% increased damage. It only says 21% because I have 200 item level. Higher item level you have of this conduit, obviously the more damage you're going to deal with your Malfric Rapture. But it deals more damage to targets suffering from your unstable affliction, and obviously pairs very nicely with rampant afflictions, because you can have 3 unstable afflictions out at a time. So it just allows you to deal, depending on obviously what conduit, like item level conduit you have, it allows you to deal 21% increased damage to 3 targets who are suffered with your unstable affliction. So basically allows your Malfric Rapture to deal 21% increased damage to multiple targets. So very, very strong right now. In terms of endurance conduits. Oh no, sorry. Actually, it'd be easier if I just talk about the potency conduits first, and then I go and talk about the other one. So other potency conduit I use right now is Rolling Agony. Basically what this does, increases your duration of agony by X amount of seconds. So for me it's 5.6 seconds, and my item level on this is 200 right now. So it just allows your agony to be on the target for longer. Straightforward, very, very nice. Is there any other ones we could be using? I mean, this one reduces your dark glare, so I don't really enjoy that as much. This increases the effectiveness of your Shadow Embrace. I still don't see it being good even if you go Haunt, mainly because you probably want to be going Grimoire Sacrifice, as I mentioned earlier. Fatal Decimation, you don't use Decimating Bolt like a ton, so right now, if I'm completely honest guys, Focus Malignancy and Rolling Agony are just the best potency conduits. In regards to endurance conduits though, I like playing Resolute Barrier. Basically, if I read this for you, attacks received that deal 5% of your HP, decrease Unending Resolve's cooldown by 10 seconds, but it can't occur more than every X amount of seconds. Obviously mine says 26, but my item level of this conduit is 200. So right now it's actually good. So the more damage you take really, and say if you use Unending Resolve, the more damage you take, you know, the shorter the cooldown of your Unending Resolve is going to be. So it just works out very, very nice. I also have here Diabolic Bloodstone. Anyone that consumes your Healthstone infuses you with 14% leech for 6 seconds. Really nice, especially in like RBGs and in Arena, to be honest. Every time somebody like on your team uses a Healthstone, you're going to gain 14% leech. So it's very, very nice. And I personally, if you only have one slot available, I would use Resolute Barrier. But say if you're in RBGs, maybe you want to try Diabolic Bloodstone just for that extra leech, so you can get more healing off. So maybe you want to try that. But right now, the best two are Resolute Barrier and also Diabolic Bloodstone. In my personal opinion, obviously you have Accured Vitality. Drain life heals for 60% of the amount drained over 8 seconds, which is good too. But I don't know, man. There's definitely ones you want to be considering. This could be decent because it allows you to... I'm just trying to think right now. So drain life heals for 60% of the amount drained over 8 seconds. Actually, that could be really good. That could actually be decent. because you just get more healing out of Drain Life. So right now, in my opinion, your go-to is Resolute Barrier. But if you have another option and you use 2 Endurance Conduits, say if you're going against a really hard matchup, right, and you want to just be a little bit tankier, you can either experiment with Diabolic Bloodstone, but you can also experiment with Acute Vitality. But if I'm completely honest, I haven't tried this one out too much. But I could actually see it being quite decent, especially if you play Soul Rot, right, because you're drain lifing more than one target. So I actually think if you're Night Fae, Acute Vitality could be better than Diabolic Bloodstone, or it could just be better in general. So maybe play around with those two, but the main one is Resolute Barrier. And then in regards to Finesse Conduits, I just really like playing Shade of Terror. I have a 230-90 level version. Your fear effects can withstand 125%. Obviously it says 125% for me. More damage before breaking. So it's just nice, man. It, like, if somebody hits your target or something, it just has a chance of your fear not breaking, which is so good. Or if you accidentally dot the target up or something who you feared, then it allows you to still fear them, and it's just a less chance of them breaking to, like, your dots, for example. But I don't know, man. Like, it's completely up to you. Some people like playing Demonic Momentum over, say, Shade of Terror, for example, just for the extra mobility, because obviously if you use your Demonic Circle, you gain movement speed. So you get a 42% movement speed for 5 seconds. It says that because obviously have a 200 item level version of this. But you have Foul Clarity, which I personally wouldn't go. It just reduces your Foul Domination's cooldown, which is good, but I don't think it's worth. I would rather use Shade of Terror or Demonic Momentum. But if I only have one slot available, I'd probably just go with a Shade of Terror, just because, right, although Demonic Momentum is good, you could use that against melee, for example. Say if you Demonic Circle back and a Warrior Heroic leaps to you, at least you still have that 42% movement speed increase, depending on your eye level conduit. But I think it's kind of a 50-50 between Shade of Terror and Demonic Momentum. If you want mobility, go Demonic Momentum. If you want your CC to kind of last longer and have a less chance of breaking, I'd go Shade of Terror. And then Kilwog's Cunning, you don't really want to be going that. It's cool, but you don't want to be going that. So that's obviously for Conduits. Still have quite a lot to talk about, guys. I'm just going to go over here real quick, just so we can get away from the players. So I'm going to be talking about legendary powers right now. So legendaries. I'm going to give my top 3. I won't be talking about more than my top 3 if I'm completely honest, just because as an Affliction Warlock, there's mainly one you want to be going anyway, so may as well just talk about the one. So right now, if we're going to powers, Sacrilash's Dark Strike is the main one you want to be going, hands down. Works really, really nicely, as I mentioned, with Absolute Corruption, because your Absolute Corruption increases your corruption damage by 15%, and obviously if you use your Sacrilash's Dark Strike, your corruption damage is also increased by 15%. It's really, really nice, so it just basically empowers your corruption damage even more, and it also slows the enemy by 50%. So it's really nice, you know, say if like a warrior's trying to get to you, you just put you put corruption on him, he's going to be really, really slowed, and he's, you know, not going to be able to reach you as fast. So it's really nice, works great against casters as well. Say, you know, a mage trying to get a polymorph off, but your healer's lining or something, he's going to have to use a blink to try and get it because, you know, he's just slowed too much. So it's really nice. In 9.1 though, they are changing this, but as I mentioned ages ago, I will probably talk about that another time. So that's like the main one you want to be going, in my opinion. Hands down, Sacrilash's Dark Strike. But there's obviously some other ones you may consider, but in my opinion, I to be honest, you just don't want to be switching this, in my personal opinion. So if we go through these, I'm just trying to figure out which ones might be beneficial. Cephuse is okay. Reduce the effectiveness of crowd control effects by 10%. Successfully applying a loss of control effect to an enemy. So if you successfully CC an enemy, interrupt an enemy, or dispel any target, increases your secondary stats by 80 for 15 seconds, but this can't occur more than 30 seconds. So increases your secondary stats, which is really nice. So you can get maybe a little bit more damage out or something like that. So it's actually decent. So the more you CC, basically, the more stats, or not the more stats you get, but if you're consistently CCing every 30 seconds, you're going to benefit from this buff a lot, and it's actually really nice. But I still think Sacrolash's Dark Strike is the way to go. And then maybe like another honorable mention would be Pillars of the Dark Portal, maybe. Demonic Gateway is now instant, so you don't have to cast it, and your first use of the gateway does not trigger its cooldown. So it's really good. In addition, Nether Energy lashes enemies you pass through, knocking them away. So if you pass through an enemy, you knock them away too. So it's really good, especially if you want to get away from melee, right? A monk's chasing you. He puts his portal on your portal. You can gateway away. The first use won't put the cooldown on immediately, so you can actually use it 2 times before the cooldown is affected. Well, before the cooldown is on, which is actually really, really good. The debuff, I mean. So here, like, roll to you, try and get to you, right? He'll probably double roll to get to you. Then you can use your gateway again, and then he has to use his flying serpent kick to get to you. And it's just good, especially when trying to, like, kite. So it's really nice. I mean, Relic of Demonic Synergy is okay. Damage done by you or your primary demon has a chance to grant the other one 10% increased damage. So it's basically a 10% increased damage buff, because obviously you don't have a pet from your Grimoire Sacrifice. But I still think Sacrolash's Dark Strike is just the best in most of the scenarios here. So I'd probably pick that. But I'm going to jump into rotation now, guys, and then that's kind of going to conclude today's guide. It's been an absolute long one, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. It's just really good to do guides and everything, so just going to run up here, and I'll see you in a second. Alright guys, I'm at the target dummy right now, and I just want to quickly show you my rotation. So this is the build that I'm going to be using. Going to go with Rampant Afflictions, Rapid Contagion, Demon Armor, and then obviously the other choices here. Not going to be going with obviously Reflect or anything like that. So right now it's quite simple, because I'm playing with the Sacrolash's Dark Strike legendary. I like to put Corruption on each of my targets first and before anything else, just so I can immediately get that slow off. It just helps out a ton, because you know it increases that window before they get to you. So what I mean by that is, say if a player's here, they're not just, you know, going full force at you. All you need to do is put Corruption, and then they're going to get a slow on them, so it's going to take them a little bit longer to actually reach you, which is obviously good. It's beneficial for you because you can deal more damage before they actually get to you. So really, really nice. And yeah, so if we start with the rotation, Corruption on both targets. There's only 2 here, so I'm just going to show you on 2 targets, but you can Corruption on many targets, maybe see the Corruption in if there's loads, but right now we just go with 2 targets. So Corruption in, put your Agony on them on both targets. You also put your Unstable Affliction. There we go. Because I'm playing with Rampant Afflictions, I can obviously use my Unstable Affliction on 3 targets. So the main thing you want to note, you don't want your dots to fall off. So as your dots are about to fall off, you just refresh them. So reapply your dots. That goes with Agony and also your Unstable Affliction, or if your Corruption gets dispelled. And then all you want to be doing is Phantom Singularity if you're playing it. Use your Dark Soul with the Trinket. And then you use your Dark Glare. And then you can use your Rapid Contagion, and then Malefic Rapture. And then, if you get your Drain Life proc, you want to use that immediately. If you're playing Night Fae, you can use your Soul Rot ability to obviously get more value out of this. So you Drain Life, just to do that single target damage, and then you reapply your dots. It's very, very straightforward, guys. That's basically the burst in a nutshell. And then, if you have loads of Soul Charge, you just spend them on Malefic Rapture. So it's very, very straightforward. So basically, Corruption on both targets for the slow immediately. Agony on both. You put your Unstable Affliction out. Phantom Singularity. You can in fact put a curse on if you want. That's obviously ideal, especially if against melees. For example, you can put weakness on them. Right? But I was going to say it doesn't matter, but it's actually quite good to have a curse on the target, obviously. And then you obviously Phantom Singularity, you pop your Dark Soul, your Trinket, then you put Dark Glare, Rapid Contagion, then you spam Malefic Rapture. Now, you can use your Decimating Bolt, but I kind of like saving it when the target's low HP, just because obviously it deals more damage when the target's low, and it just works out a little bit better. So that's basically it for rotation. It's quite straightforward. So if there's more than one target, you do Corruption on all of them, Agony on all of them, Unstable Affliction on all of them, and then you want to be using Phantom Singularity. That's when you pop your Dark Soul Misery and your Trinket if you have one. Then you pop your Dark Glare, your Rapid Contagion, and then you spam Malfic Rapture. And then by then you probably get a Drain Life proc. Then you use your Soul Rot if you're playing Night Fae. If you're not, just use your Drain Life immediately. And then spam Malfic Rapture if you still have if you have more soul shards, if your Agony obviously generated soul shards and everything like that. So it's very straightforward, and I really hope you enjoyed that. But basically, I'm going to show you some clips of me in like some battlegrounds actually showcasing this build, and then we will end today's video. It's an extremely long one, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. So let's do it.
Everything that brought me alive, though we're all like monsters, playing with the monsters. They brought me alive, but got no alibi. It's a lover's fight without an alibi. It took my innocence without an alibi. Everything that brought me alive. Oh, we're all like monsters, playing with the monsters. They brought me alive, but got no alibi. It's a lover's fight without an alibi. It took my innocence without an alibi.
Alright guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's Affliction Warlock guide. Obviously I put a lot of effort into this one, so I really hope you enjoyed it. Obviously I've had loads of requests to make PvP guides for all three specs, so that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be making a PvP guide for Demonology and Destruction as well. And then that obviously conclude these guides for 9.0.5. But I really hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. Sorry that it was a long one, but I just wanted to cover everything today because I have a lot to talk about, because Shadowlands, there's so much you want to be diving into. And yeah, just in general, really hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully it helps. And yeah, guys, thank you for watching today's video. If you did like it, then obviously make sure to leave a like, comment down below, let me know if you play the build that I'm playing right now, and whether, you know, just in general, you like Affliction Warlocks. And yeah, guys, if you did enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below, and also subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to check out my social media links in the description down below. But yeah, I've been Xrathis, and I'll catch you in the next one. So, peace!